Well, hello. My name is Taryn, and this is my first podcast, The Tea with T. Me being T. Ha. Get it? I've been wanting to do a podcast for a really long time, like years. And I've had a couple other people that I'm like, yeah, let's do a podcast together. But it's like, I gotta do this on my own, obviously. And if I don't just do it on my own, just do it, then I never will. If I'm always waiting on someone else to do it with, I'm never gonna do it. So here I am. And that kind of falls into what I'll probably talk about in a lot of my podcasts, just life and how you live it. Spirituality. I'm really into self-love and self-care, spirituality. That all kind of ties in together. Being a spiritual person, you have to love yourself. You have to care for yourself properly in order to really do anything, or do anything you want, I guess I should say. To live the life that you want, to achieve the things that you want, you have to love yourself. You have to properly care for yourself. And it's something I'm still working on. You know, we grow up in a world where you're fed junk, not just food, but mentally you're fed junk as well. You know, you learn these things in school that aren't actually relevant to daily life, and school itself really just teaches you how to be obedient, how to raise your hand and only speak when called on, how to follow rules and only know what they want you to know. They don't want you to branch out and ask questions outside of what you learn within a school. But I always did. And not just that, but all through school, my grades were always good. I never really, struggled. There were a couple classes I struggled in, like civics and economics, probably because I don't enjoy the government. I really just want to be able to impact other people's lives with my journey. I want to share my experience, my journey, what I've been through in life, and where I am now, where I'm planning on going, the steps that I take every day to create the future that I want, to create the life that I want in the now. Because that's another thing, is there's no other moment than right now. Thinking about the past or the future is almost wasted thought, depending on how you go about it, of course. Of course, you want to think about, oh, well, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to do. Of course, that's all technically in the future because it hasn't happened yet. But time itself is not linear. So really, everything is happening now. Every timeline, every version of you is happening now, and you just have to align with that frequency. It's just the way we're taught, the way our three-dimensional minds are able to perceive time causes us to believe that the version of our life that we want is somewhere in the future, somewhere way out, not here now. But it is, because time is not linear. So I'm here now in this reality with how my life is now, right? But the reality that I desire is here. Not here, not in the past. It's here. It's parallel with where I am now, and I just have to shift my frequency to find that, to align myself with that reality. And that's what all of us can do. All of us can shift our frequency to align with our desired reality. We can all do that. And it sounds a lot easier than it is, obviously, or I would already be living the life that I'm trying to align myself with. But there's still a lot of things I have to work on. Even though I love myself more than I ever have in my life, there's still habits I need to break, like the junk food that I enjoy. There are lots of things that I have to work on. But food is definitely a big one. I've actually lost 100 pounds from my heaviest weight. And I've noticed that most of my weight loss is associated with my spirituality or my self-love, my care for myself. Because although I enjoy junk food, that was pretty much what I was raised on, junk food, hot dogs, mac and cheese, just basic foods. So now in my adult life, I'm exploring different kinds of foods, I've been, the past 10 years, I've been really expanding my palate. I eat a variety of things that I did not eat growing up. Even as a teenager, once I was able to make my own foods, I was still kind of stuck in that whatever's easy, whatever tastes the best. Even though now I go back to some of those foods and I'm like, how did I ever eat this? Like, it's all about how much you care about your body and what you're putting in it. So now that I love my body more than I ever have, I refuse to put certain things in it. There are certain things that I won't eat, or I will eat very seldom, because it's like I still enjoy it, and it's almost like reminiscing on meals as a kid, and the good memories as a kid, a lot of times centered around food. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm craving XYZ from my childhood, and I'll let myself have it, but it's not like I continuously just eat junk like I used to. Like, just that's all I ever ate. And now I cook my own food, probably about half the time, I will say. But my roommates are very generous, and they cook a lot, and I'll pitch in for the like financially for the food, and they'll cook, and delicious. And they've actually helped me expand my palate a lot. I say all this to say that if you're someone who struggles with losing weight, you've tried all these different diets, all these different, tips and tricks or whatever on how to, maybe sustain from eating as often, or just eating different things, introducing yourself to new things. The one thing that has helped me the most is finding my spirituality. So it might be a good idea for you to explore spirituality. And if that means religion to you, whatever religion that may be, I feel when you find what you believe, it brings in your self-love, your self-care. Because then you realize what you believe this world is, and what you believe life is, and you start to care about yourself a lot more. And for me, I'm not religious. I don't identify with any religion. I just consider myself spiritual. I believe we all came from Source, or God, if you want to call it that, the God particle. We're all from the same energy source. Everything in life, everything in this world is energy. And we're all a part of that. We all came from that. So yes, you can consider Source or God to be our creator, because we came from it. We came, from this source energy. We were created from that, and we are all extensions of it. We are literally just God experiencing itself. That's all it is, because that's the only way that it could see itself. You know how you can't see yourself unless you look in a mirror, right? Think of reality that way. You as the God energy, the God particle, source, whatever you'd like to call it, you are that looking in a mirror, because that's the only way that you can see yourself. So everything outside of you is just a reflection of you. So if you think of life as crappy and nothing ever works out, and people always hate you or just annoyed with you, tolerate you, things like that, which is how I used to think, that's exactly what you're going to get. I changed my mindset, and you can change yours, and the reality outside of you completely changes. And all these people that I felt just tolerated me or what have you just fell out of my life. My circle is so small, I could count on one hand the people that I'm close to. The people that I talk to on a daily basis is, if you disclude my roommates, because I live with them, 2 people. There are 2 people that I talk to, and one of them actually is not even always daily, because that's how relationships work. You can go a couple days, couple weeks, couple months without speaking, and then when you do speak, it's like no time passed, nothing changed. So I'm very thankful to have that relationship. My best friend, shout out, what up, best friend? And then my cousin. So it's actually family, because I consider my best friend to be family. I've known her since I was 10. So 2 family members that I speak to on a daily basis normally, like not even always. But I live by my cousin. My cousin is actually friends with my roommate, so I see her a lot more. They actually work together. So anyways, I really feel like if you're struggling with self-love, if you're struggling with weight loss, if you're struggling in any way towards how you care for yourself, how you see yourself, how you love yourself, explore spirituality, whatever that may mean to you. You know, I have my beliefs. Everybody has their own beliefs. And if you find a religion that you identify with and you're like, this is what I believe, this is, you know, how I want to live my life, then fantastic. That is going to help you get on the path of who you truly are and the life path that you should really be on. And I can't encourage you enough to explore it. Because once you figure out what you believe, it makes you believe in yourself. It makes you love yourself. It makes you take the time to care for yourself because you know that that's the first step. The first step is becoming the best version of you. You can't truly do anything else without first loving you, caring for you, becoming the best version of you. The 1%ers, the elite, what have you, they know who they are. They know what they want. Hence why they got where they are. Maybe not in the best ways. They go about it in a very, I don't want to say evil, but evil way, and hurt other people in the process. So it's a bit skewed, but essentially knowing who you are and what you want will get you where you want to be. It just depends on the type of person that you want to be. Do you want to be like the elites who hurt other people along the way, who, you know, step on people in order to heighten themselves? Or do you want to just naturally become who you're supposed to be, who you truly are, and just let everything else fall into place? It'll take more time. You have to have a lot of patience. I've been on this journey for years now. I mean, I couldn't even tell. I honestly can't remember how long I've been on my spiritual journey because it's just been a gradual kind of thing. I've always been into, you know, interested in different religions and spirituality itself. So this has kind of been a lifelong thing for me, but me being dedicated to figuring out what I believe and who I am has probably been about 3 or 4 years now, where I'm really locked in. So it is not going to be something that just happens overnight. And all these manifestation tips and tricks and things like that, they won't work until you've done this, until you figured out who you are, what you believe, and what you want. The manifestation, everything. And I'm living proof of that. I can manifest, don't get me wrong. Anybody, everyone can manifest. You will not manifest what you want until you know what you want, until you know who you are and what you believe. So I'm on this journey of figuring out what I really want out of life. Now that I know, you know, what I believe, I'm figuring out what I really want. Hence why I'm doing this podcast, because this is something I really want to do. I want to reach people with my voice, with my experience, and hopefully help people on their journey by sharing mine. That's my goal. So maybe it's time for you to figure out yours. Maybe it's time for you to really sit down and grab a pen and paper, you know, or a journal if you journal, and just really ask yourself, what do I want? And if the only things that come to your mind are little things like, I want a new pet, or, you know, I want this for lunch, or, you know, whatever it is, whatever comes to your mind, just write it down. Because that's where I struggled when I tried to do these things. And in therapy years ago, my therapist was like, really just take the time to write down what you want. And I kid you not, I probably have 4 or 5 different pages in like previous journals where I wrote down the question, what do you want? Or what do you want out of life? What does Taryn want? Blank. It almost seemed too simple for me to actually be able to do. But when I actually sat down and just let myself write whatever I want without this pressure of, you know, what career path do you want? Do you want children? Do you know, want a partner? Do you like, you know, who do you like? What kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much pressure behind all of that when you just let yourself say, I want a burger for lunch. That is one thing you know that you want. It's easier when you just allow yourself to start small. The small steps lead to the bigger ones. You can't just go from crawling to running. You see what I'm saying? You can't skip that middle piece, the walking. And that's what this part of my journey is the walking. Taking it slow, really sitting with experiences and not allowing myself to settle or be treated ways that I used to be treated, and just really finding my flow so that I can run. And I feel like that's kind of the process everybody needs to go through to really create the life that they want. Anyways, thank you if you're still here. Thank you for joining me for my first podcast. Hopefully the next ones will be more structured, but we'll see. I just kind of want to share life. And I hope you all get something from me sharing my experience. Thank you for joining me. I love you, love yourself, and let's grow together.